Nice to see you. I see a lot of folks are in today. That's great. My name is Nick. For everyone who who I haven't met, I think there's a few familiar faces in here. I'll be the moderator today, and I'm super excited to be joined by Pep. And we're going to take a couple minutes here just to get set, wait for folks to join. But in a few minutes, we'll do kind of a formal intro, closer to 10 a.m. Pacific. But yeah, feel free to let me know where you guys are all joining from. I'm in Vancouver, BC. It's a beautiful day here in Vancouver, so no complaints on my end. And it's not too early in the morning, but maybe folks are joining from elsewhere. I'd love to hear where you're joining from. I saw Madison, Wisconsin, Durham. Pep, you're in Austin. Super cool. And get on, I hope I pronounced that correctly. These sessions, I believe, are recorded, and I do believe you can get them afterwards. So keep an eye out for that. Rainy Dallas, Texas. Nice. Not nice, it is rainy. Maybe you've taken ours. Vancouver is beautiful today, but we've had a very rainy October. How did everyone enjoy the kickoff call with Stefan? In Texas, rain is good. Not too much though, eh? Did people see Stefan's kickoff for keynote call? Joining from Austin as well. Cool. Thanks, Monica. Paula did not see it. All good, Paula. You can check the recording after. We don't win all, but we should learn from all. I agree. Thanks, Liv or Olivia. I know you, Liv, so I know your name is Liv. I know you go by Liv. I think we'll wait just about another minute or so as people join in. Looks like we got a good amount of folks joining. This is awesome. This Hopin platform is pretty cool. I have never joined anything like this or with this tool before. From Calgary, Alberta. Cool. Thanks, Jordan. I have a lot of family in Calgary. It's a cool city. Right. Sweet. Well, I think we can probably get started at least with a few housekeeping items. So as people are joining in, like I mentioned, my name is Nick Ross. I am a customer success manager at Klue. So really excited to join today. I've been with Klue for the better part of 2.5 years or so. So I've seen the company grow from quite a small little crew to much bigger, and very excited to be able to have a summit like this today. I have the privilege of moderating this session for Peep Laja. Believe I've got that pronunciation right, Pep. But before Pep joins on screen here, there are a few housekeeping items I want to run through quickly. So I see that folks have already chimed in on the event chat. That's great. On the right side of your screen, the event chat, polls, people, and Q&A, all of that can be found in the speaker session. So I'd recommend you spend that next 45 minutes or so in that speaker session tab. And that is, again, towards the top right of the screen. The event chat is all for banter. So if you're here now, I see folks are sending in where they're joining from. That's awesome. Keep on doing that as you join into the session today. And the chat is really all for you. So feel free to throw questions to yourselves, or just kind of banter and conversation throughout. Really, the Q&A is the formal tab where you can pop in and submit questions as Pep is talking throughout today. We will have time at the end to go through Q&A throughout. So don't stress about answers not coming immediately. We'll definitely bring them on later on. You'll also have the option, if you want to join in on video and actually speak your question to Pep, have a little back and forth, and then we can move on to next questions. But if you do want to do that, just let me know in the question that you do ask, and I can make sure that you're enabled to pop in, share your screen, ask the question, and then we can go from there. I do believe that is most of the housekeeping items, so we can really get forward with the session today. So really excited to introduce Peep Laja, CEO of Wynter. So Pep, feel free to let me see, join the video here. There you are. Hey Pep.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm kicking ass, man.
Good. That's great. Let me give you a quick intro, and then I'll turn it over to you. So, Pep does a lot of thinking about B2B strategy, competing and winning. He's an entrepreneur who loves businesses and is currently building a portfolio of companies from the ground up, from opportunity spotting to customer development, product market fit. Pep takes businesses to millions in revenue and builds teams who eventually take over the day-to-day business ops. Pretty cool. I'm thrilled to have you here today, Pep. Really excited to hear you talk about competing in a saturated market, which I'm sure a lot of folks are. So Pep, take it away, and I will join you for Q&A afterwards.
Awesome, man. Very, very. Thanks for the intro. Thanks for not butchering my name. It's rare when that happens. I'm gonna share my screen here now. Chrome tab. All right. Did it work is the question. I think it worked. Perfect. All righty. So let's do this. Saturated category. Obviously, you guys know this already. There have never been as many brands as there are today. In fact, if we compare 2011 to 2021 today, there are 50 times more SaaS companies than there were 10 years ago. It's insane how many new companies are being started every day. It's ridiculous. And I'm sure you've all seen this slide, right? Like this, the MarTech landscape. So there are like more than 9,000 index marketing technology companies on this planet. I'm sure every talk features this slide. And so what about it? So let's say we zoom into one of these categories, one of these islands here. And so let's look at this one here. So this is survey tools, right? Survey tools. Up and to the right, we see SurveyMonkey, or Momentive now, Qualtrics, Google Forms, Typeforms up there, all these tools that you know. And then there are like 50, 60 other survey tools that you've never heard of. And why is that? Why haven't you heard about these tools? Well, if we go to their website, if we pick any website there, as there's also a survey tool, they all say pretty much the same things. They say, oh, build surveys. It's fast and easy. Start free. Every single one of them. Sameness is the default. Everybody is saying the same stuff. And who are the market leaders? They get all the benefits. So if you think about like Salesforce, CRM, one of the most saturated categories of all time, 500 CRMs, 500. CRM and Salesforce obviously is the category king there. And if we look at who was the king of CRM category 10 years ago, and who is the category king today, it's still Salesforce. And the number 2, 3, and 4 also really haven't changed, even though there are 500 CRMs. So the market position, the stability of market positions is just ridiculous. Once you get number one, you're going to stay there. And obviously, that's really the reason why so many people want to do category creation, right? Because if you manage to pull it off, it takes tens of millions of dollars. If you manage to pull it off and you're the category king, you're set for life. Because, like, let's look at email marketing, right? MailChimp, right? $1 billion, whatever exit thing, amazing. Well, what was MailChimp so much better than others? No, it's just like any other email marketing tool that does basic stuff that every other email marketing tool does. It's just like every other tool. But they managed to get, while the categories was formed, while the pieces were still up in there, it managed to become number one, and then it just stayed there, right? Not any better, not objectively better at all, right? So once you manage to get become number one or two, congratulations, you have won. Everybody else, So what do? So your job as a marketer in an existing mature category is to get into the very limited consideration set of buyers. So if let's say you want to buy a CRM, a new CRM, or marketing automation software, whatever it is, nobody looks at 300 tools and just compares them all. No, that's not how the world works. If you have to pick a marketing automation tool, people are like, oh yeah, I'll look into this tool or that tool or the other tool. So it's usually 3 to 5 tools. And so whether you're in that consideration set or not determines most of your success. This is why category leaders and number twos in categories are winning and growing, because they are always in the consideration set. Oh, well, MailChimp does email marketing. And if you're just like MailChimp, not objectively better, I'm just going to go with MailChimp. It's the brand I know, right? So your job as a marketer is to get into that consideration set. That's step one. If you're just like the category leader, you're never going to make it. Yeah, it's not going to happen. All right. And so a useful model for thinking about this is that every single company, a tool, a SaaS tool, fits into a jobs to be done box. I hire this tool to do a job, right? So if I want session replays and heat maps for small business, I hire Hotjar for the job. That's the first tool that I think of. It's in my jobs to be done box. If this was like heat maps and session replays for the enterprise, I would think of other tools like Decibel, Full Story, and so on. HubSpot, it's their jobs to be done box in somebody's mind is CRM for scaling companies. That's the position they're going after. CXL, data-driven marketing, training for data-driven marketers, right? So you want to fit into a box. If that box is already full, like CRMs for small businesses, or that box is full, forget about getting into that box. You need to invent a new box, essentially. So if you look at like who recommends tools, and of course you all know that word of mouth is by far the most powerful source of new customers, far bigger than Google and Facebook or all this stuff, far more powerful, especially if you're like upmarket expensive product, right? And so I see on Twitter, I'm heavy on Twitter, I see every day people recommend A/B testing tools. Like one freelancer asks another freelancer, like maybe they write content or blog articles, hey, what do you recommend for A/B testing? Oh, well, you should go with Optimizely, they say, because they have heard of Optimizely. They've never used it. They have no clue. It costs $150,000 a year. They have no idea about like A/B testing and statistics, but they've heard of Optimizely, and that's it. That's enough. That's called mental availability, right? And so they're number one in that box, and people recommend that. That's another reason why companies who are number one or two in a category stay there. And so, and you need to get in there. And so, how do we get into that consideration set, in that jobs to be done box in somebody's mind? Because that's the only place where it exists, like the country of Sweden. So, number one way to get in there is that if you're innovative, you're objectively better than other competitive options. Okay, question for you guys, and please give me a response in the chat here. Name a product that is objectively better than competing products. I challenge you. Name a product that is objectively better than competitive products. I'll wait. iPhone, not objectively better, subjectively better. Tesla is a good example. For now, Tesla's electric cars have better tech, more mileage than your rest of the electric cars. But it's about to change, right? Lucid just announced new cars beating all Tesla's range, like 560 miles, the new Lucid Air, right? So every single car company is coming after Tesla. I bet my theory in Tesla is that in a couple of years, their competitive advantage ceases to exist. Sales Navigator, yeah, they might be the only one doing what they're doing. So I don't even know if they have competitors. All right, Google Search, brilliant, Oliver. Yes, I think Google Search is one of the objectively better products out there. But see how hard it is to answer this question. And all the companies named here, maybe not Klue, is like $1 billion giant, right? Like Google, Tesla, Apple, right? Like most of us are not like industry giants, right? So yeah, Google Search is an example that I also came up with. Tinder. All right, let me talk about Tinder. So when Tinder entered the market, I think it was 2011, 2012, something like this, the dating app, whatever market, was already extremely competitive. Like Match.com was there, and Plenty of Fish, and all this. Now, when Tinder came, solving the exact same problem, find a mate, whatever, but they brought with them innovation, like that swiping UX. It was like people were like, oh my God, this is so fun. And immediately it went from zero market share to being the biggest guy in the market by bringing innovation, by being objectively better for one group of people, not for everybody. But for a certain group of people, it was objectively better product. And Bumble and what's the other one? Hinge immediately copied Tinder. Identical products also became huge, right? So they rode that innovation because Tinder created demand, others followed that demand, and everybody else was left to dust. So why I bring up Bumble and Hinge here is because every innovation advantage that you do is a transient advantage. You come out with the innovation. It's, oh yes, it's objectively better. People will copy you fast. And so Uber came out. Oh my God, wow! And then obviously it became huge. Bad management made bad calls, toxic culture, yada yada yada. Made room for other players in the market as well, right? And so on and so forth. Tesla, I again talked about this. Objective was a category of one, right? Category of the only one doing what they're doing, really. And now there's a lot of electric cars. Tesla still has some objective advantage, but everybody's coming for them. So my bet is that 3, max 5 years from now, Tesla will be just like every other car maker. So like there's no difference between a BMW, Mercedes, Audi, besides a brand. Tesla will also start competing on brand. That's my prediction. So that's a way to get into a jobs to be done box, is that you make a new box through innovation. Extremely hard to do. I also want to say that probably like only 1% of the market is able to do innovation here. All right. Second way to get into the consideration set is better marketing. So I was talking to one of my businesses, CXL, is an e-learning business. I was talking to a guy who ran marketing for a cloud guru, which was also e-learning for like learn how to code and so on. It was acquired by Pluralsight, I think, by $2 billion. Everybody inside the cloud guru knew what they're a commodity product, because anybody can create courses on how to learn JavaScript or whatever, right? They won through better marketing, and $2 billion exit. We can discuss whether that's winning or not. I mean, I would be happy with that kind of an outcome for myself. What about you guys? So better. So if you have excess share of voice, meaning that you spend more money than your competitors, so you buy your way into the consideration set. This product familiar? Monday.com, right? So Monday is a totally solid product. But is it objectively better than everybody else? Everybody, all the other like project management, task management? I don't think so. Like ClickUp is killing it. Like so many great product. Monday is a great product, but it's not objectively better product yet. And this project management software, Trello, etc., also super saturated. 500 plus tools that do that. They, in a very short amount of time, bought their way into the consideration set and made huge amount of money. How much money? Well, we know because they published the numbers. So look at that top line revenue there. June 19th, June 2019, 17 million per quarter. And then March 2021, this year, so quarter one, 58 million. Okay, that's insane growth, right? That's just ridiculous growth. Okay, how did they do it with a product that's no better than any other product? Well, let's look at the row called sales and marketing. Let's look at the sales and marketing row and compare it to the revenue. Holy shit, they're spending twice as much money on marketing as their total revenue. Obviously, a gazillion dollars VC money is being spent here. Will they ever make it back? Who knows? But they definitely are buying their way into the consideration set. And we already know what happens if you become number 1 or 2 in your category. You will milk that money until the end of days, right? So if you play the long game, you can absolutely win on more money, right? So this is Monday.com is just an incredible example of buying your way into the consideration set. Is that available for all of us? I don't think so. You need extremely deep pockets. Yeah. So a third version to get into that consideration set, which is now much more doable for all of us, is by taking a fundamentally differentiated position in the market, right? We don't have Monday.com style money. We don't have Tesla style innovation. So we have something else. We have differentiation. So we are fundamentally differentiated. And let's talk about this. What does fundamentally differentiated position look like? Okay. So let's imagine that this group of people here is the total market. This is the people we want to sell to, the total addressable market. And so let's look at an example. Apple making smartphones, a commodity market, right? Commodity market, smartphone. Every smartphone does everything. Basically, it's a commodity. So Apple has this huge slice of the market. And then their biggest competitor in the market is Samsung, right? Also, actually, Samsung is two or three times bigger in terms of like phones sold. So and you see their circles, the target market that they are addressing, it overlaps a little bit, minimal overlap. Some people flip-flop, like maybe next phone is Samsung, next phone is Apple. Most people, Apple people, are just going to buy the next Apple, right? In Samsung's case, an Android market, it's more interesting because that market is far more fragmented. And so LG decided, we also want to sell more smartphones. And so their circle overlapped with Samsung's circle almost entirely. Minimally with Apple, but with Samsung, almost all of it. They went for the exact same type of customer. And what happened? What happened? Does anybody know? In the chat, what happened with LG? Nobody knows? How many LG phones are you seeing around these days? All right. LG capitulated. They got beaten so bad, they stopped making phones, basically. Yeah, they make great fucking washing machine and refrigerators. So in hindsight, okay, so they took on Samsung, same market. And so what does the disruptive market disruption theory tell us? If you take on industry giant, a category king, and you go after their most profitable customers, they will beat you because they have more money, they have better engineers, they have more of everything. You will now win. So LG should have gone after a different slice of the market. Maybe focus on emerging markets, maybe make budget phone. I don't know what the answer is, but that they shouldn't have taken on Samsung head on. Like they shouldn't have gone for the exact same type of customers, right? That was their mistake. Reed mentions Nokia. Well, Nokia got beaten by innovation. That's a different thing. So here we're talking no innovation, same type of commodity product. All right, let's look at another market. CRMs. HubSpot, positions themselves as for scaling companies, doing real well, right? And they overlap quite a bit with Salesforce as well. Early when HubSpot launched, very smartly, they overlapped with Salesforce only a little bit. Now, as they get bigger, richer, they have more resources. They're getting inching closer and closer to Salesforce, and they have the foothold, the money, the resources to compete better with them. But when they started, all this inbound marketing shit they talked about, Salesforce was like, we don't care. Like Salesforce did nothing about that. Obviously, Salesforce, has been growing, super fast. But basically, this is the situation. So the question for you guys is, if you were to start a CRM company today, where would you position yourself? And positioning, for those of us who might not be, not sure what that means. So positioning is a group of customers that cares a lot about something, ideally the problem that you solve, right? And so positioning really answers two questions for a company: who are we targeting, and what use case are we solving for them? And so the answer for that, you don't want to overlap with the category king or even number two in the market. You want a separate type of positioning. So ideally you want to be that circle there. You don't overlap with HubSpot and Salesforce at all. That's ideally. You go for a market that HubSpot and Salesforce are not interested in. And what is that market? Well, a niche. These big companies that have IPO, that have like huge quarterly expectations, they will never go after a niche market because just the math doesn't make sense for them. They need to add another 20 billion next quarter. That your niche market is not going to do it, hence they're going to ignore it. That's beautiful for you, right? That's beautiful. Or you might want to overlap a little bit, right? Especially as you get a toehold, a foothold in one industry. And then you can start slowly emerging out of it, and you can start nibbling at HubSpot, at Salesforce. And so if you're familiar with the works of Clayton Christensen, like the author of Crossing the Chasm and the whole disruption theory. So he's the roots of his disruption theory is about when you want to take on an industry giant, you want to attack from below. And what that means is that you go for their least profitable customers. You start nibbling from the bottom. You don't go for their high margin customers. You go for the low margin customers. And then they are likely not to fight you at all. And you can get away with it. And you can get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it's too late for them when you're taking the rest of their business. And this has happened so many times before. So this has happened with, with software companies, with manufacturing. In fact, let's talk about cars. So we mentioned Tesla before. Great example. In the 80s, 70s and 80s, Toyota entered the US market with compact cars, attacking GM and Ford from the bottom, because they were making, gas guzzlers, the muscle cars, and, SUVs and that kind of shit. And Toyota made these little cars, and they're low margin. And Ford and GM were like, okay, fine, you can have them. And then Toyota became taking their customers from all segments, and just being now the king of the world. And so Toyota did it to the American car manufacturers. And then in the 90s, Kia and Hyundai did the same for Toyota. They entered the market making subcompact cars, going after the least profitable segment, the Toyota segment. And Toyota was like, fine. And today, 20 years, fast forward 20 years, Kia and Hyundai are huge. I mean, Kia's Telluride and Hyundai's Palisade are the best-selling SUVs in the U.S. market, So you gain a toehold in a small market that the big companies don't give a shit about, and then you start slowly coming at them. And that's how it's been done for decades and decades, right? And so Drift, another $1 billion exit, sold to Vista for whatever money, and we can discuss, whether it was a good outcome or whether it was undervalued, all these things. But what's interesting about Drift is that I'm talking about fundamentally differentiated positioning. Live chat's been around since like early 2000s, and various forms of automated chatbots, right? But Drift did not enter the market or did not say anything about, oh, hey, we're also live chat, but better. We also chatbots, but better. Never. They never led with features. Instead, they changed the conversation. They started talking about the change in the world. Hey, we live in a world with real-time communications. Everybody's texting. Everybody's, sending instant messages, using Facebook Messenger, whatever. And so if your sales forms on your website is like, a lead fills out a form and we'll get back to you 24 hours later, that's like the 20th century. Come to the real world, use Drift, real-time communication, conversational sales, conversational marketing. And you can argue that it's all like marketing BS, but it works. And it worked beautifully. So now think about yourself. If you're still leading with features and benefits of those features, what you are doing is you are positioning yourself as a commodity. And if you want to see commodity parade, open up G2, go to a popular category. I recommend email marketing is the juicy one. And you start just opening up all these top players, open up top 50 websites. There's like 450 of them. And what are they all saying on their homepage? Like the key place for high stakes messaging is your homepage, And they're saying things like, send beautiful email newsletters. Every damn email marketing tool does that. And you're leading with the most basic, most generic, undifferentiated feature. Hence, you're saying, I am a commodity. Choose based on the price. Category leader, MailChimp, is like, oh, yes, because he can win every war that is about generic features. That's how category leaders win. If you're not a category leader, you lead with features, you're dead. You're dead. There's no way you're going to win and make it to the jobs to be done box in somebody's mind. So that's what it's about. All right. And so you need, when you create a category like conversational marketing, when you lead with a narrative, you carve out a new job to be done. Live chat jobs to be done box in people's mind was long filled with all kinds of tools. And suddenly there was a new box created. Oh, conversational sales. Wow. I don't have anybody. Oh, and look at that. Drift went into the box and was the category, the only one in that jobs to be done box. Same happened with Gainsight when they made customer success a thing, and so on and so forth. This has been done before. There's nothing novel about it. Obviously, if you're creating a whole new thing, you need fat wallets to create demand, to educate the market, events, content marketing, media machine, all that stuff, right? And so let's look at ConvertKit. ConvertKit is one of those companies in the email marketing space that is heavily commoditized market, right? Send beautiful email newsletters, like everybody says that. And they also say, but how ConvertKit, which is a bootstrap company, no deep pockets here, no Monday.com style stuff. They're like 29 million ARR, not bad, right? For a bootstrap company, fucking A, I'll trade places any day. They're winning by positioning. They're going for, if you're a creator, like a book author, a blogger, a musician, painter, Instagram celebrity, whatever, you use ConvertKit. We are for creators. Now, ConvertKit actually has less features than your average email marketing tool. However, they built 10x features for this very specific target market, content creators. And so they are actually building a 10x better solution. We talked about being objectively better. They are objectively better for a select few customers. If you are indiscriminate about who you serve, you don't have a strategy and you cannot win. ConvertKit chose their customer. That's what everybody needs. You choose your customer, not vice versa. You choose your customer. You want to make sure you don't overlap with the bigger circles of these bigger companies. That's how you can win, right? And once you get there, you're now the conversational marketing tool, or you're now whatever email marketing for creators. If that works, if you can get away with it and you have like 2-3 years, and as soon as you get success, they're coming. They're coming. Everybody's watching. Most companies are fast followers, not creators. Like they see, oh, that shit's working for you. Yeah, I'm gonna get your business. So meanwhile, you have the 2-3 years to build up moats, defensive walls against competitors. And there's the book Seven Powers that talks about the 7 kind of moats, and some of these are very hard, like network effects. You need a type of business to take advantage of that, or cornered resource. Hard, maybe too difficult. I can give you examples of like cornered, who's competing and winning a cornered resource. Maybe there's switching costs. Oracle, SAP, right? Try switching away from one of those guys. It's just not, once you Oracle, always Oracle, right? It's switching costs is a moat. Now, but there are moats that you can build. All of us can build and use and win on as well, right? So one of these moats, obviously, is brand. Every company can be a brand, and brand is not your logo, right? Brand is its reputation, and brand is, what does it say about me when I buy you, right? Like if I buy Patagonia, do they have objectively better rain jackets or cooler VC vests? I don't think so. But people buy Patagonia because if I wear Patagonia, I'm saying I care about the world, the sustainability, the planet. I hate Trump, all these things. And so you're signaling. You're wearing Patagonia and you're signaling to the world your political views, your stances on climate, and all that stuff, right? If I buy a Tesla, I mean, it used to be you're signaling that you're rich and a little bit care about the economy, the climate, right? But now I'm actually not sure what you're signaling now when you buy Tesla. And Tesla needs to figure that shit out because, as I said, they're going to start competing on brand any day now. Nike versus Adidas, products, no difference. Like they're identical products, like even they look the same. However, how people choose one or the other is, again, it's brand, it's affiliation. Which identity do I buy into, right? Maybe I like the three stripes. Maybe I'm for women's rights. Maybe I'm for, I want to be athlete. I don't know. Like there are reasons, emotional reasons. And you can cultivate that. It takes the longest time. And you need to be obviously clear what you stand for, what's your DNA about, right? Like Shopify is building a strong brand moat because they have figured out what is their infinite game. Their infinite game is enabling economic independence through entrepreneurship, making it accessible to everyone, right? And like if you look at their ads and marketing and all that, it's actually all about that. It's not about, hey, you can do abandoned cart recovery. None of that shit. It's all about the end game. It's all about building brand. So Shopify knows this stuff. Another thing is community. Look at these two brands. So there's Lemlist, which is a sales engagement tool, kind of like outreach competitor. Sales Loft, very saturated category, right? And there's Lattice, HR software. Also, I can name like a 200 on top of my head. What these guys did and how they achieved early success in an extremely crowded space was community. So Lemlist has that Facebook group and it's like, you've maybe heard about product-based content, like kind of Ahrefs. Ahrefs is great at that, where they, in every blog post, they feature how to solve the problem with our tool. Lemlist is like, how are we solving the same problems that our customers are solving every day with our product? How are we finding customers from Lemlist through cold outreach by using Lemlist? And they're sharing on this Facebook group, and like people are rallying and like sharing tips, and it's fantastic. Lattice created a community, I think a Slack group for HR professionals giving each other career advice and so on. No salespeople were allowed then to pitch, moat community as a moat. Be a media company for your industry. So the biggest opportunity for all of you guys, and I don't know what companies you're from. Like for instance, I know Klue guys are here. So Klue, competitive intelligence, 100%. Most of the customers are for Klue, future customers are what's called non-consumption customers. So they're currently not using nothing. It's not like they're switching over from something, right? They're using nothing at all. And I bet that's the most, unless you use, like CRM or email marketing, that's not the case. But everybody else, most customers are not using anything yet. Same for me, Wynter, like they're using nothing. And so then your play is that you become the media company for your niche, and niche in a broader sense. It can be a huge market as well. So like Profitwell, subscription analytics, right? Most subscription companies are not using any subscription analytics. Very few companies in this space yet, surprisingly. And so what Profitwell has produced like 7 podcasts. Patrick Campbell, the founder, he's like everywhere. It's like whenever you need a pricing guy, there's their CEO there. Is he, does he know a lot about pricing? Of course he does. Is he the world's savviest pricing expert? I don't know, because he's a CEO of a software company. Like, he's not like doing pricing every single day. He has other problems too. So, but he's building a reputation. What he's known for, and that's a moat, right? Like, I better would go with Patrick Campbell's software, because he's like obviously the pricing name, right? And all the market that is currently using nothing, their first foray exposure to this is their content. And so by educating the market about these problems, and how to calculate churn or whatever, then it's like, oh yeah, Profitwell seems to know the most about this stuff. Obviously, I'm going to sign up with Profitwell. Obviously, they have a great freemium. Freemium is a moat if you can do it, especially if you make create a freemium plan that other people charge for. That's great. All right, so getting into the conclusions here. So you either compete on innovation or brand. If you can win on innovation, do that, because that's easier. Meaning that if you're objectively better, people will see it. They'll say, holy shit, take my money. But innovation, of course, is dramatically hard to pull off. Now, winning and competing and winning on brand, your narrative, your positioning, your messaging, is a game that most of us can win. And so if you realize, actually, shit, I'm not competing on a product, I'm competing on a narrative and positioning, then you need to invest accordingly in your future. And think 5 years in the future, and so there are 2 capabilities that you need here. You need to know, in order to win on these things, you need to know, what is it that my target audience wants, my buyer, my prospective buyer. What do they want? How do they think about the problems I solve? What is a problem? What is a pain they want to avoid? What is a desired gain they want to get? And all this position, this benefit statement that you're sending out to the market. Like, what's actually number 1 problem, number 2, 3, 4, and what's not a problem at all? Maybe it's only in your mind. So you need to know this stuff, and you need the old way of doing this stuff. Oh, let's put some shit out there and see what happens. And then you have like go-to-market effort and 6-month long feedback loops. That worked in 2010. Today, you need feedback loops that are 1 week long. 1 week. And you want to cut down on speed, meaning go much faster, and cost, obviously, unless you're Monday.com, in which case, congratulations. But if you're not, and then how does it land? How is all the messaging we are sending out? Your SDRs are sending out thousands of cold emails a day. How is it landing? The response rate is shit. You know this, right? Why? Well, it's because the template is probably not aligned with the priorities and challenges that your target audience has. Your marketing, your homepage, you're saying this above the fold, and then you say this other thing, and this other thing, and this other thing, and this other thing. Why is this in the order it is? What did they think about it? What is relevant? What is irrelevant? What is interesting? What is boring? Most of it is boring, I bet. Now, and so you need a feedback loop is like hearing from your target market, learning from your target market. How is it landing on them? So if I'm sending marketing messages out there, my homepage, my ads, my sales demos, my SDR, my cold emails, is it hitting home or is it falling flat? And I mean, we can talk about this messaging heuristics here, like clarity, do they get it? Relevance, is it aligned with their current priorities and challenges they're tackling at work today? Value, like, or is the promise of the value the end game? Is that like, do they want it, essentially? Then differentiation, is it clear why go with you as opposed to all these alternatives, hundreds of alternatives, right? Is it clear? If it's not clear, they're gonna go with MailChimp. And finally, brand perception, like maybe we care about, are we coming across, maybe we're jovial and fun loving and whatever, like, and actually people perceive us as like, I don't know, jargony suit guys, whatever. So like checking on those things. So you need feedback loops, very, very fast feedback loops. How do you do that? Those things. Well, qualitative research is the name of the game here. If you're a B2B company, you can also get it with Wynter. A couple of clicks and you have all this data. Okay, and so that is it. Out of time. Thank you very much. I'm Pep. Follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter. I have a podcast on how to win. You can find me everywhere. I'm on the internet. Thank you very much.
Sweet. Thanks, Pep. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, I know. I think like we're close to the end of the session today, so I don't want to keep too many folks if they have other things to hop to. I know there's no formal questions submitted in the Q&A. There was questions throughout, so sounds like people are thanking you. Maybe not too many burning questions from folks. Feedback loop was a recent one. Yeah, I think pretty good.
Awesome. So either they got it all or nothing at all.
No, probably everything. There's a question here from Christina.
Has one question, looks like. Organization sells on features and benefits with limited innovation. How do I compete in this situation? Well, 2 questions you have to ask yourself. Do you have more money than your competitors? Can you do more share of voice? And if you don't have, then that's not an option. If you don't have enough money, then you need to win on, SaaS. That's, we all sell SaaS, I guess. You need to win on narrative, messaging, positioning, brand umbrella here. So those circles that I showed you, like HubSpot versus Salesforce, the central strategy question is where to play. So basically, which target customer, which slice of the market am I going to go after? And how to win? How do I win that slice of the market? So you need to answer these strategic questions. And it starts with getting clear on your positioning. Positioning is, if you get that wrong, game over. Or it's like, not game over, but it's very hard. It's very unnecessarily hard. You're making your life unnecessarily hard. So I would start there. Competing on narratives, if you know this guy, Andy Raskin, he's prolific on social media. He talks about narrative building, narrative design, things like that. That's more, of course, if it was like sales-led company. Yeah.
Sweet. Cool. Thanks, Pat. Great. Sweet. Well, I think that pretty much concludes the time we have today. Thanks for the time, Pat, for the conversation. Thanks everyone for contributing thoughts over chat. Great to see the banter in there. I think Sydney gave a shout out to that next session on the main stage. So folks head over there and continue on enjoying the summit.
All righty. I'll see you later, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, Pep. Take care.